unknown, chase the spectral trail. Join us if you dare on the fairy tale. In the shadows cast by twilight's glow, mysteries unveiled, secrets flow. Whispers of the past, echoes in the night. Welcome to the realm where darkness meets the light. Tune your mind, let the stories unfold. The Orion Effect, where the brave and bold seek the unknown, chase the spectral trail. Join us if you dare on this fairy tale. Tune your mind, let the stories unfold. The Orion Effect, where the brave and bold seek the unknown, chase the spectral trail. Join us if you dare on this fairy tale.
The engine is starting up.
For launch, GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop,
Go.
GNC, go. Max,
Go.
Eagle, go. Ecom.
Go pending final steps. The cabin link check.
2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Hello, travelers, welcome to the Orion Effect. I know I'm not the beautiful face you were expecting. Unfortunately, the hitman of Rhonda have other engagements tonight, and they asked us to fill their very large steampunk shoes. Tonight, I'm hosting Christina Spencer. I'm usually over on Horror, History, and Haunting Podcast. With me tonight, I have my wonderful guest host, Rene Hert. Say hello, Rene.
I'm the old timer. I'm the old timer.
Right? She's back in the day when we used to actually have to upload, and there was no video interface to interact with. So unfortunately you got to deal with the crazy old chicks tonight. Unfortunately, the hitman is unavailable, but we got a show packed for you today. The plan is she's from Illinois, I live in West Virginia. So we both picked a unknown or less known haunted tale to tell to you tonight. And we're going to discuss those. And plus, you'll get to know us and our wild quirks and crazy vibes. So here we go. Renee, do you want to go first with yours and introduce yourself a little bit?
First, I've got to tell you something. You remember when you started with the Rift, the show you did?
Yeah.
I
Rocky
created.
Tales from the old, or Haunted Tales from the Old Rocky Chair. Yep.
I created that. So you know how much of an old timer I
am. Right? Back when I was afraid of my own shadow and wouldn't get on screen for nothing. Look at what you did to me, Renee.
I know, I broke you, and it's all my fault.
You broke me in. You didn't break me. You broke me in. There's a difference. You and Howie taught me how to do podcasting. And then I just ran with it after that.
Howie and Lisa taught me how to do podcasting. And I was worse. Without a co-host, I am the shyest person. I could sit here and just play music all day long. And I'd hope someone enjoyed it. Or at least had the same whacked out taste I do.
Right?
And not say anything for an hour and then go off the air.
Right.
And that wouldn't bother me.
Yeah, but you got to talk. That's part of podcasting. You have to be a motor mouthed. And I'm the biggest extrovert introvert I think there is. When I'm left to my own devices, I like my quiet. And you might hear noise in the background. I'm here with the grandkids. I'm at their house. So if you hear any odd noises that typically you don't hear, it's probably them playing in the other room.
Grandkids are great.
Oh yeah,
We've got
they're excellent.
6 of them.
I only have 3. You got me beat. I only have 3, but yeah, they're my lifeline, most definitely. So I know I picked a strange one when it comes to my ghost story, because my ghost story is the Middle Way, West Virginia, and it's called the Wizard Clip Tale. And I'll go over that at time. And Renee, you picked the tunnels under your feet, right?
Yes, that is so interesting. Rock Island, where I live in Illinois, the border is actually the Mississippi River to Iowa. Right across the river from where I live is Davenport, Iowa. In case people want to know. And I did their expo, their Paracon Expo this year. And what interests me the most was the ones that are local investigators here talking about the tunnels. And that's always interested me. Tunnels like that are unknown areas. Like San Francisco has a lot of underground tunnels for the Shanghai and what have you. And the tunnels here are so interesting. Because Rock Island, I don't think Rock Island's ever had like a shipping dock wharf area. They had to get their supplies somehow. Do what?
Did they just use the tunnels?
It used to be, some places used to be where they didn't have docks or wharves. The barges had just come up on the land, on the bank. you know. And I think some of them tunnels was built for that, to get the shipping stuff in to the stores and what have you, so it didn't clutter up streets,
Mm-hmm.
because it was a port of, of sorts. But then I did some more investigating on my own yesterday and found out that a lot of the tunnels here under Rock Island was used when they mined. They had a quarry outside of town, and they mined the quarry to get the stones for the Arsenal Bridge when it was built in the early 1800s. And they used them tunnels to get the rocks
Yeah, the quarry stones to where they needed to be in the city.
to the bridge.
Oh, okay.
So they wasn't having to take the stones through the street.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, because the
You know,
streets were very narrow and windy at the time because most of them were horse-drawn carriages. It was nothing more than
yeah,
like a trail of dirt to try to get these massive stones, building stones through.
exactly. And a lot of the tunnels have been used since then, since the making of them, for things like the Underground Railroad and I can't see it. And thank you. But it's been used for Underground Railroad and bootlegging
Oh yeah.
and all kinds of things. Some of these investigation teams, they've gone in there. In one part, they have full body apparitions of men. There's a little girl in that part of the tunnel that they have found, a full body apparition. I don't know who I'm waving at.
I'm just putting up the hi,
I'm waving. But
Cindy
anyway,
Leghorn, Surrender and Shine. Hi, Michelle.
and I just found it interesting. They found spirits of former slaves on the Underground Railroad. And hi, Keith.
He's another host on the Otter's
Mhm.
Den. So we're
Today's
giving him
night.
loves. Mwah.
Tuesday is
Go ahead.
Keith's
So
birthday, by the way.
yeah, so everybody wish Keith happy birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday
birthday,
to
babe.
you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Keithy. Happy birthday to you. Da-da. So I don't miss it. I've already took care of it.
Anyway, yeah, there's just all kinds of things that's gone on underneath there. And now, since they've been unused, stores have blocked them off or they've caved in sections. There's a house down the street from us that had some part of that tunnel in it, where maybe they'd go through the basement without letting people know, or it was a
Yeah,
destination.
that's a lot of the reason I think people blocked them off is just security because people were down there. You're welcome, Keith. Because people were down there just doing things they aren't supposed to be doing and messing around and going in other people's basements and things like that. So I can understand. I would probably consider it, or at least put a door, or come up with some sort of security measure to cut in.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
and they probably, a lot of these businesses downtown where the tunnels are, probably had doors for when they were used for shipping for security reasons.
Right.
I
Exactly.
don't think they started out as a bad thing, like for bootleg liquor.
Oh, absolutely. Nothing like that ever, is created nefariously. But anything that's made innocently, somebody will find a nefarious way of using it eventually. It's just the way life is. Like, if there's always the flip of the coin. You got the good and the bad.
Now,
They'll use it in different ways.
the tunnels do come out on the Mississippi River. They do. I've seen pictures. And to me, that part of the tunnel, entry, the main entry, because it's a main entry that looks like a cave,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything forks off from that. That's man-made.
Right. So it originated as like a naturally formed cave that they branched off of.
Yes,
Am I understanding
yeah,
that? Which
of
makes
course,
sense because if they used it for the Underground Railroad, they would have just came right up the Mississippi and then right into the tunnels and underneath the city,
yeah,
or vice versa,
yeah.
out through the city and onto the
It
river.
just made it for easy simplicity exit for them.
Exactly. Okay.
Because once they hit the Mississippi, of course they'd have to disperse. You know,
Right.
either go north or south or figure out a way how to get across to Davenport and disappear.
Right. Valid. And I imagine with those tunnels, there's plenty of haunted stories about like what people see when they're down there. I imagine there's lots of shadow people and
That's what I'm figuring. I mean, there's no telling. Like I said, there's one section of the tunnel that they have full body apparitions where they can actually see the features of the men,
oh wow, okay.
and the
The
same
miners.
miners are just people that have been in the tunnel, that delivery guys, things like that. And then the little girl that's a full body apparition, they can see everything right down to the clothes she was wearing, just as if you're looking at me
Wow.
in that section. But at the mouth in the main cave, there's another woman that, from what I understand, the story goes, she was a prostitute that had come off of one of these river boats, the paddle wheel boat,
Mm,
and got murdered in the main tunnel, in the main cave.
oof.
And she haunts that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to me, it's interesting.
Oh yeah, because anything like that's got history and there's always the chance of hidden treasure that nobody has found yet. Because especially when you're dealing with bootleggers, like they stash things in every corner sometimes of buildings and things, and they had special caches of drop-offs and pickups, so who knows what's left down there, like little pieces of history, even coins or things people had in their pockets they dropped over the years.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting and worth going down into the tunnel. But
Right, you have to be careful.
the city has prohibited it without a license, and you don't go down there without a group
Right.
because they are so unstable nowadays.
Well,
You know.
also it's a maze, it's easy to get lost if you do find access to actually get into the tunnel system like that.
Now I have
You
to.
risk getting lost and look at the Paris catacombs. That's another one that people go in there, they don't come back out sometimes because they get lost and they can't find their way out.
From what I've seen in some pictures, they have street signs painted on the wall. Like
Oh, okay.
if you come across two tunnels that cross, like this,
Hmm.
there's a street name that you're under going one way that you're going, and then the cross street also
Hmm.
on a different corner of the wall. So that way, I'm sure that's the way they found their way through things.
Right, it was like a road map under the road.
Yeah,
And I'm sure it had, there's certain things like one, if you traverse those quite frequently, like you would learn the ways and the landmarks, because I'm sure
yeah,
there's still landmarks down there.
marks or something. Hi, Z, how are you?
Hi.
But yeah, there's all kinds of interesting things that are
That's
haunted here in
cool.
the Quad Cities. I know there's a few houses, or a lot of houses, that was built by some of the older, well-known architects and builders
The
in the
Freemasons,
country.
probably.
They lived here, you know, and they just wrestled out, how that is.
And just so that people know, what is the Tri Cities?
The Quad Cities is
Or the Quad
Baton
Cities, I'm
Rouge,
sorry.
Iowa, Moline, Illinois, Rock Island, Silvis, and East Moline in, on the Illinois side, and Davenport is on the Iowa side. And that's the Quad Cities, and that's the way it is. You look it up. That's the way it is on the map. Quad City.
Oh, really? And
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
like
because it's perfectly.
they just run into each other.
I turned into
Like
Madonna
crap.
there for a second. I'm just voguing all over the place. But
It's like a
you get what
crash
I'm
right
saying.
there.
It's my 80s coming out. Vogue,
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 vogue, vogue. So that's what the Quad Cities is. It's like one great big city, but it's different cities that just grew together.
Mhm. And Illinois has a lot of history. There's a lot, especially in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a lot of people don't realize Chicago is the place they had the great World's Fair in what 1912. So
Yeah,
there was a
something like
lot.
that.
Yeah, there was a lot of changes that happened at that period of time. Between, during, and after that big festival, because they built
Yeah.
a lot of stuff there that still some of it's still there, but a lot of it's gone now. But a lot of
And
people in and out.
then, of course, they were the gangsters of the 20s.
Hmm. So you can't tell me that those gangsters weren't using tunnels, to take their wares and,
I think.
dump bodies and everything else that
I,
gangsters do.
in this little town I lived in Arkansas when I was married to my first husband, we bought a house on contract from this lady. And she was elderly, and this was in 91, 92. And when she was 18, when she turned 18, Al Capone bought her a candy shop
Oh,
in
wow.
Chicago.
Wow. The night Chicago died. I'm trying to think. What's that in regards to? Because there's a lot of stuff that happened. I know that's
Okay,
like,
the night Chicago died was when the like the gangsters had lined these men up in a shop, like a mechanic shop or a basement, and opened fire on them. It was like a gang war.
oh, so they like basically executed them.
Yeah, and it started a gang war. And the cops got involved and started killing people, and gangsters killed cops and each
And
other
the corruption.
and all that. That's what the night Chicago died was.
He said, sorry, it's a song. Made me wonder if that song was written, what it was written about.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what it
it was.
was, man.
Yeah, it was all about the gangster wars and how, I'm trying to read text. I'm ADHD, so I bounce everywhere. If it's a shiny, I'm looking at it. Um, and I'm trying to keep up on the messages too. But yeah, Chicago has a lot of history. I mean, you had H. Holmes, which was like the first documented serial killer in America. You have, all the gangster activity, corrupt police, there, and there's a lot of just, originally Chicago was nothing but a cattle town, basically. And
Yeah.
it just like blew up because of the World's Fair, and it just kept going. And like,
Well, it also
oh,
made
it's
a
a
good
song by
location.
Paper and Lakes.
I know the
Okay.
song, but that's what the song was about, was gangster wars.
That's
Sorry, Mitch, I ruined it for you, didn't I?
Apologies popped in your head. No apologies needed. Like, I am the biggest like squirrel person that you'll ever meet. Like, I'll have a conversation and change it mid sentence, be like, you know what, what was that? Like, I'm done. And then everybody's like, what were you talking about? We need to do what? And I'm like, I don't know, it's gone now. Must not have been that important. Sorry. But that's my brain. It's a bunch of wiggly worms up there.
Today, today I was talking to Jim about getting some tempura chicken for dinner tonight. And I couldn't remember the name of it. The tempura.
Hmm.
And I go on, like it was no big deal. And out of the blue, I'm saying something. And I go, tempura.
Right in the mid sentence of something else, it's not relevant. They're like, okay, sure, crazy person.
And Jim goes, I understand what you mean, honey.
Right, right. My boyfriend's the same way. He's like, you got there eventually, hun. Because he's like, you always go to the end of the story, you tell the end, and then it's like you have to go roundabout, tell about two other stories, and then eventually you come back to the original story, and then I find out all the details and can give you an answer. He's
Well,
like,
that too. But Jim's used to me forgetting words in my neurodiversity in my brain or not thinking of the right word. And I can go 3 days and all of a sudden that word will pop up in my brain and I'll say
whatever you're
that
thinking, I'll just boop.
and I'll
Right?
say it and Jim goes, I know what you mean, hon. Like that.
Everybody cracks up because I have real bad echolalia. So if I hear something, I repeat it.
Yeah.
And like last year, because in my household, football is like a holiday. That's like today at my house, everybody's sitting watching football, regardless of the situation, you're watching football. Well, like last year, it was the bundle of Rooski Roo that came on, and everything was bundle of Rooski Roo. And they're like, if you say that one more time, I'm like, it's gonna happen. Sorry. But if it's anything like that, like, McDonald's, I'm loving it. It'll just it pops up in my head and I have to say it. Or if somebody says something, then I have to finish it. Like Red Robin. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yum.
ridiculous. Yep. Gotta do it. Gotta finish it.
Can't control yourself.
Teeny says beaten around the bush, LOL. Yeah, we got off topic. I know.
It's all
I'm
right. You love
notorious
us
for it.
anyway.
Well, the story that I wanted to discuss that was on my side is a little known story in Midway, Virginia, which is a very small town here in West Virginia. It's known for a legend. This is coming right off the Midway Wizard Clip Facebook page, if you want to check it out. It's noted for the legend of the Wizard Clip. Many people still refer to the village as Clip. So some people don't even know it's called Middleway because around the area it was so notorious, this clip that happened. In the 1770s, Adam Livingston, he was a Lutheran, moved his family from Pennsylvania to a farm northwest of present Middleway. Although they prospered at first, sometime prior to 1790, strange events began to affect the family. Now, supposedly, this was caused by one night during a storm, a stranger knocked on the door. And then basically, what had happened, there was a man that suspected, they don't know, confirmed that he died in the home. Like he was a passer through, like he was passing through. He sought shelter with the family. That night he had passed away. Well, in the process of passing away, he asked for last rites. Well, being it was a Lutheran family, they didn't do last rites because that's a Catholic thing. And there was it was, a blizzard and they couldn't get out to find like a Catholic priest. Plus, they didn't believe that last rites were necessary. So it was something that unfortunately the man passed away without the last rites. And then after that, strange events began to afflict the family. They would hear unusual noises and voices were heard throughout the house. Crockery was thrown onto the floor and rocks were rolled across rooms when no one could have done these things. Um, some people claim this is the first ever documented case of a poltergeist. So that's an interesting tidbit to the story. And the weirdest thing about this story is that there was always this persistent clipping sound. And it's suspected that the man that passed away in the home was a tailor. So he had his tailoring tools when he passed away, and that was, his trade. So, and what happens is they'll hear this clipping sound like scissors snipping, and the clothes of the household and the curtains and anything that was made out of fabric was cut into pieces, or they would cut out these little crescent moons and everything. And nobody really knows what the crescent shape meant. It was just something that, for some reason, this poltergeist would cut crescent moons into everything. Now they would cut up boots and harnesses, and the pieces were said to be in crescent moon shapes. Like I said, these troubles seem to have continued for several years. The Adam Livingston sought help from various Protestant ministers to no avail. They had them come in and pray and do blessings. Nothing seemed to help the individuals. I know that there was a testament that I was reading about a girl that went to see what was going on, like her husband and her, and she had a family heirloom bonnet that she had folded, and then she actually put folded napkins on the top and bottom and then put it in her pocket. And when she left that day, she went to pull her bonnet out. The napkin was fine on the top and bottom, but the bonnet was all cut up and had crescent moons cut into it.
Oh, wow.
That was a claim back in the day.
Do
Now,
they know who the traveler was, or a
I
name?
couldn't find anything about like who the traveler actually was. Eventually, Adam had a dream in which there appeared a church and a figure dressed in a black robe, whom he later identified as a Roman Catholic priest he saw in Shepherdstown. Following several visits to town priests, Father Cahill and Father Gilletizine, I hope I said that right, they came to the house. They said prayers and celebrated mass in the Livingston house. After that, the voices and strange activities slowly ceased. Adam Livingston later converted to Catholicism because he was so greatly affected about the situation. And he donated about 35 acres of his farm to the church after his passing. So the original house and the 35 acres, I think, around the house was donated to the Catholic Church. It is a pastoral, talking about a butt all of a sudden. I don't know what that was. The pastoral center known as Priest Field. So it's still used. The public can come visit. Mr. Livingston's grave is there in town. A lot of the original buildings, and there is some original buildings from back in the day. The town has basically accepted the history, and like it's like from now till the end of time, it's known as Clip. So I thought it was a really cool story. There is claims that there's still paranormal activity associated with the building and the surrounding property, because I've heard people refer to like it as a poltergeist that does like to mess with other people. But I don't know explicit claims to that. I just know that some people think he's still around. The wizard Clip. But I thought it was an interesting story to tell.
That is interesting.
Yeah, so definitely check out Millway, West Virginia. I know they do a Wizard Clip Festival every year. I was supposed to go this year, but unfortunately, transportation issues, I wasn't able to go. But I would definitely check out their website and check out the festival. It sounds like a really good time with a really good group of people. I wish I could have made it this year, but yeah. So that was my little weird story from West Virginia.
I've got a personal experience story if anybody wants to hear it.
Oh, we're always into the personal experience stories. What do you mean?
Jim has one he's going to say, but he's not coming on camera.
Okay.
Hello, all. When I was much younger, I lived in North Carolina. Now, I used to go camping high up in the Pisgah Mountain Range. I mean, it was a beautiful setup. They had dirt roads all through the mountains with turnbacks and everything. And they had little turnouts of a sort where you could pull off, go into the forest, miles and miles from anybody, and camp. I was up there one summer camping, and I was walking around checking out some of the mountains around me, and I saw the only full apparition that I've ever seen in my life. And it, or he, looked like a mountain man of the time. Furs, the big beard.
That's what I was going to ask, like the big bushy bill, the coonskin hat, all the
Yeah.
furs on his shoulder.
Oh, he was huge. The apparition was. He could have been 6'4" and 290 pounds. He looked really big, but not fat. And the impressions that I got from this apparition was that it was me in another life. And the only thing that would kind of transpired was the apparition kept pointing at me. And that's why I started having those feelings, I think. And then he pointed in a different direction, and I assumed that's where he was buried. But the feeling was just so strong. The feeling of nature, of the mountain, of the power of the mountain was just amazing. And the fact that I could have actually, in a small way, met myself from one life to another.
See, I wouldn't put anything past the mountains because, like, I grew up in Appalachia, but I grew up in the West Virginia Appalachian Mountains. I grew up in that little sandwichy part that looks like a tea kettle handle on the side of the state.
Yeah.
In between Maryland and West Virginia, Maryland and Virginia. Excuse me. I feel like I'm going to burp. Anyway, I'm in that little squishy spot, and that's where the Appalachians come through West Virginia, is just that little handle of a part. Well, that's where I grew up. So I grew up with all the Appalachian tales. So nothing surprises me when it comes to those mountains. Like I was explaining that on my podcast, that when we were Pangea, if you put your finger on the Appalachian Mountains and watch Pangea expand, the Appalachian Mountains don't move. It's just they become slower, like lower, because they eroded over time and they get more stretched out, but they're still there. So they're like, well, and there was water over everything. So it would have been the first thing that actually surfaced from North America. And it's like the oldest,
Always keep in mind, we have 2 mountain ranges in the United States that was made by glacial movement.
Mm-hmm.
The Appalachians is one of them, and the Rockies are the other. They move north and south. We also have one mountain range that moves east and west. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know it goes east and west. I knew it goes north and south.
The Ozark Mountains go east and west.
Gotcha.
They are not made by glaciers. They are made by sediment. They're not made by glaciers. Glaciers move north and south. Sediment just settled.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they were made. Just like the mountains underneath the oceans now.
Right. Huh.
They, with the current,
I know.
learned that in geology class actually in college.
That's awesome. See, I kind of like, I wasn't big into geology. To my boyfriend's detriment, he's a big geology he's always about like the weather and like the changes in the planet and like math. Like I'm good at math, but it wasn't like a focal point.
See, the
The
Rockies,
library was my focal point when I
right?
was in
The
high
Rockies
school.
and the Appalachians have a lot of granite and quartz and different things like that, and that's what they're made up as.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were actually, when they were made, not only was they like a deep groove made by glaciers, but you also had the magma and the stuff coming
Pushing
from the
everything
center of the
around.
earth coming up.
Yeah, there's here places that I could take you on top, in the mountains, but where they've done, digging into the mountain, you can find all kinds of fossils when it like sea creatures and urchins and plants and all
Yeah,
kinds of stuff just by picking up rocks around where they dig into the mountains like that. It's kind of crazy to
the,
think about
the Ozark Mountains is where
the
I grew
underwater.
up. And the rocks that them are made out of, the sedimentary rocks, is things like limestone and sandstone and dolomite. Dolomite is big. They're the ones. It's sea creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Little like little snail shells you see in rocks and stuff. That's what that is. Because it is when the glaciers melted, the United States or North America and a lot of other continents had a mud level before they dried out.
Mm-hmm.
They were underwater and then they got to like a mud level, as the water went down, you know.
Mm-hmm. The moisture level dropped.
So that's what happened. That's how the
That's cool.
Ozarks got made.
Well, and it's
But
interesting that you mentioned limestone because limestone is a heavily and it was something we talked about on the podcast the other day too.
yeah,
That limestone has a lot of quartz crystal in it, and quartz they use it in all kinds of you know spiritual practices. You know, and we've always had this affinity towards quartz. So, and a lot of places, if it's made out of limestone with that quartz property, you'll find a lot of residual haunts. It's almost like it records emotional feedback or echoes,
yeah,
from the past traumatic instances or people's feelings. So it's interesting that the Appalachians have that much quartz in them. And that might explain why we see or don't see things. We see certain things, but then
right.
when we go looking for like Bigfoot and the big cryptids, that's could be part of the reason we don't. They know how to manipulate that energy that we do not.
I think now this is my personal opinion, and everybody knows what a personal opinion is like.
Yeah, everyone's got a butthole. What you do with yours is your business, but I'm going to show you mine.
Yeah, let me show you my phone. I think
She does it in public. She shows that thing.
Go ahead. Don't.
I think things like the Mothman and the Appalachian Sasquatch
Mm-hmm.
and the cryptids like that you hear about, and people might see one or two times, and then they just disappear.
Right?
The stuff legends are made out of.
Legends are made. Sorry.
I think they actually came from a different dimension. Like the Sasquatch, he might be like a gatekeeper that can come over and do things in our time or our dimension, but he actually
Mm-hmm.
belongs into maybe like a fifth or sixth. He just crosses them.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we don't know what happens. As the Mothman is a prime example
Yeah,
because he popped up, and there's been a few sightings, and there's been sightings since
but
the initial the famous Mothman sightings. Like they've seen them in Chicago, they've seen them in major cities, and during like right before or after a traumatic event,
Because
like
there's a
right
lot of
before and after
places,
9/11.
like in the Appalachians, that is unexplored. Or if
Mhm.
people explored them, they never made it out alive. You know, there's
Right?
great big pieces of the Appalachians that families had moved in there and they're saying, strangers come, they're not going to leave.
Hmm.
You know, and I think,
Well, there's something called holler law
yeah,
that, like, unless you've lived in the mountains, you don't quite understand. Like, if you're in a holler, for people that don't understand what I mean by a holler is basically a part of a valley or a part of a mountain that is very rural in nature, and typically it has one way in and one way out. And people that have lived there, their generations have lived there. So they're very close connected. They like their privacy. They like living back away from society or mainstream. So they get very
protective.
not friendly if somebody they don't know enters their neck of the woods, to put it another
Yeah,
way. But around here, we call them hollers. It's just how it's said, back in the holler, where I grew up or whatever. It's just a very rural area of the mountains, and they're very protective of their homes and the people.
yeah,
And there are some haulers back in West Virginia that they have been so secluded from society that there has been the whites, for example. There's been a lot of inbreeding because they never left that area. They were all farming communities, and they intermarried and stuff happened.
everybody shares the same last name.
Right. There are places, I hate to admit it, in West Virginia, you have to ask somebody's last name to make sure you're not related,
Yeah,
because it is so out of reach, when it comes to like everyday
I had some
folks.
friends. I went to school with a guy who had an uncle brother.
Okay.
Jim mentioned it. What happened was his mom and dad were married. His dad slept with his mom's mom, his grandmother. She had a kid with him, and so he had an uncle brother. They wouldn't.
Wow.
His dad and his grandmother were not related except for through marriage.
No, gotcha.
He married her daughter. I guess then he turned himself into his own grandpa, but I don't know.
If you know the song, you know the song. But like getting back on topic a little bit, living up in the Appalachians and growing up there, there's certain rules that you learn, and part of it I think stems from just trying to keep people, or especially children, a certain degree of fear to keep them safe from themselves, because kids by nature are curious creatures and we want to explore and we want to experience all these things. So I think part of it stems from the parents saying, hey, there's spooky, scary shit. Sorry, pardon my language. Out in the woods, don't go messing around after dark. Don't go wandering too far because you may not find your way back. The fairies might get you, or the Bigfoot. Like, don't mess around or you're going to find out type of philosophy.
Yeah, but I also think it's a protection thing.
Mm-hmm.
I
That was the
mean,
next point I was getting to.
it's,
And there are things that you cannot explain that only happen in the Appalachian Mountains.
it's like the boogeyman.
When I was having my experience, it was almost like the mountains were trying to teach me something.
Mm-hmm.
Because I went back to that spot again. I didn't see the apparition again, but the feeling of peace, restfulness, contentment were just hitting me by the mountain. It
Mm-hmm.
was amazing what just the
And
mountain itself can teach you.
right. There's nothing like the Appalachians. If you ever get a chance, especially during the fall,
Oh
try
yeah.
to check out the Appalachian Mountains. It's beautiful. It's the most rejuvenating place to be. Um, and it's got, like I said, a lot of history, and it's a melting pot of cultures because you have like a lot of Irish descendants, you have a lot of course, Native American, uh, you have English settlers, you have it's such a melting pot of old communities,
Yeah,
and that's why we have these weird foods that nobody else has, and we have a lot of like
tradition.
traditions they don't have. Like here on the first of every year, there's a tradition that I didn't discover till I moved around that other people don't do. On the first of the year, it's customary in West Virginia to eat cabbage and pork because it's supposed to be good luck and bring prosperity to the coming year. You go anywhere else in the country, they look at you like you're absolutely insane. What?
You,
Sauerkraut and pork?
well, see, they all have their own thing about pork and cabbage. Let me
Hmm.
explain. A lot of times, tradition outside of the Appalachians, I want to say, for example, is black eyed peas and cabbage, boiled cabbage, right? And to season them black eyed peas, you throw ham hock in it. Well, guess what? What's ham hock?
Pork.
And what's boiled cabbage? Cabbage. That's
Sauerkraut.
sauerkraut.
Yeah. Sauerkraut's made of cabbage.
So you've got your pork and your ham hock and your boiled cabbage. Throw it in with black eyed
Hmm.
peas. But
Oh hell, that's good.
Jim likes it. I'm not a black eyed pea eater. I pick out the ham hock and eat it with my cabbage.
Oh, I love black eyed peas.
What my mom and my mom's family used to do is they'd get a roll of dime and throw half in the black eyed peas and half in the cabbage.
Hmm.
And if you got a dime in your food dish,
It was good luck.
it was good luck and prosperity.
Right. So that, I mean, and those traditions, they go back generations around here.
Yeah,
And it's the same thing with the stories. Like, you always, you take a pinch of cinnamon and you blow it through your front door on the first of the month to bring in prosperity.
I
Or,
just
you
seen
never bring an
something
old broom
about
to a
that.
new house.
I just seen somebody mention that in one of my groups that I'm a member of. The cinnamon in through the door. And I'm
Hmm.
going, what is she talking about?
Yeah, it's to bring in luck and prosperity to the coming month or the new year, depending on when you do it.
So I've asked Howie. I ask everybody that has been an investigator one question. I
Okay.
am not an investigator by any means. I live my experiences. And I don't investigate. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Hmm.
Have you ever done one of two things? And it drives me crazy when I watch it on TV, I'll be honest with you. Have you ever done an investigation? And I know you've done it. You go, what's that? When you hear a noise or you see something that's not normal, what's that? Hey, I hate to
Yeah.
tell you, you are hunting ghosts. That means they are your prey. You need to holler, yay, I've got them. Just like you would when you're hunting deer. You know what it is. Why ask what that
Right.
was?
Right.
You found
It's,
what you were hunting. It
I
drives me
think from a
crazy.
parapsychology point of view, I think that's just our initial fear reaction. We know we're hunting something that we don't know technically what it is or what it can do to us. So we hear something and all of a sudden we're like, fear response, like, oh my God, what was that? Did you hear it? I heard it. What was that? It's like, I think it turns into like a prey response. Like
Right.
a lot of people do it. And I think unfortunately, shows that have been on television have really cause that to spiral in the paranormal community. Like,
Right.
because that's, to me,
Well,
that's a bad, like, it's hard to control. I get that. Initial reactions are hard to control. But if you can control it, try not to cause like a mass hysteria situation where, yes, you heard it, make note of it, write it down, make a text,
right.
whatever you got to do, make a note of it, try not to react. And then when you compare notes with your other investigators, if you had a similar experience or the same exact experience at the same exact time without talking to each other and documenting it, that's more definitive proof in my
Well,
book that you guys experienced something paranormal
when
and
you
not just a rock falling or something.
when investigators do that and they're recording video, sound, whatever they're
Hmm.
recording, is that more to market on the tape? Like I heard
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, that's the way I do it. Like if I'm in a specific location, and I hear something, I try not to react. It's hard not to. I'm going to tell you, it takes, some self control, but I try to just keep notes and write down the time, what I heard, any experiences or anything else going on at that time. So then later on, when I go to review that area
You know
with,
something's there.
I can listen a little bit more in depthly and see if I pick it up, on any type of equipment. And then also the more um, conjunctions that you have in an investigation, in my opinion, like multiple people having the same experience but not talking to each other, finding audio evidence, and then a light anomaly like an orb, that would, to me, be more definitive that it's an orb and not just dust. And there's other ways to determine whether it's a
Right.
dust or a bug, which you learn over time. But I'm kind of a skeptic when it comes to orbs, unless it's in conjunction with other occurrences at the exact same time. Something that gives that orb credence. Like if somebody's gotten scratched or they hear something and then we pick it up on audio and then they have marks on their back and then you see an orb like heading towards their back, that would be something that I would deem possibly paranormal
Right.
because it's in conjunction with all the other pieces that are floating around at the same time.
The other thing I ask investigators, have you ever noped out? Like,
No. And I've never been in a situation where I've gotten so scared that I've like, nope, I'm done. Like, I've never really put myself, but like I said, a lot of the investigations that I've done have been private investigations.
right.
So I'm going in to help a family. I haven't done any like big public investigations with, at these big places that other people, pay to investigate.
Right.
Usually everything that I do is just to
Now,
help other people.
when I've noped out one time, and it wasn't really an investigation, I'd moved with my family to Montana, a little bitty town in southern Montana. And the kids in the high school, I was a senior in high school, and the kids in the high school decided to impress the new kid. Let's take her to the haunted house.
Let's
You
freak her
know,
out.
you know how that is. Let's take her to the haunted house and see how she does. What goes on. Now I was 18. Keep that in mind. Hey, I was a grown up. I could go to jail, really jail. The house was not lived in. Okay.
Okay.
And they're telling me, oh, well, this story in the town goes, this woman, she went crazy. It was a frontier. It was before the town had gotten to that area of town. It just grew
Mm-hmm.
that way. And she got settler's craze or cabin fever. And she killed herself and she killed her kid and killed all the
Oh
animals on
wow.
the farm. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
that had happened several times in other areas. So it was a believable story.
Mm-hmm.
And I got out, stood by the car. We'd parked right across the street from it. And I went and got out and stood by the car and was about, I'm going to say about 50 to 100 feet from it, from the front door. And they're going, come on in, whatever. I said, no, not me. I'm standing right here. The evil presence was so strong in that house. It came off that house like tidal waves.
Mm.
And I noped out. I said, I'm not going in there. You cannot pay me enough to go in there.
You just knew that wasn't a place you weren't welcome, and you knew not to go in there.
Yeah. Now, my cousin and her family was living with us, and we had to move. And right behind that house was another house, a second farmhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to go by that evil place to get to the second farmhouse because they shared a driveway.
Did you run? Did you get close to it and then run by it?
I did a trail because we moved into the back house.
Okay.
And to get into town, I would not even get in my mom's car if I had to go by it. I made a
Oh.
trail from the front door of that back house through a farmer's cornfield to the road. And I would
Just to bypass it.
just so I wouldn't go by it.
Well, I take that back. There was one place. It wasn't that I noped out. It was because we lived in a place in Oakland, and to this day, I won't tell anybody the address because I don't know. I don't want people messing around there. And it was a privately owned residence, and I don't want people like messing
We'll
with
just
people.
leave it at
They're living
Oakland,
there or whatever.
and we won't even describe the house. How's that?
Right. And I got attacked at that home by something. And it made me very, very sick for like 3 or 4 days afterwards. After that, we did look and move very quickly after that. And it was simply, it was too much. We had a lot of poltergeist activity. I saw things living there. I heard things like you take the checklist of hear it, see it, like it was going on. So we dealt with it for months. And then finally, like I did get attacked the one night and it knocked me clear on my behind. I ain't gonna lie. But after that, I was like, no, we need to find another place. We got little kids, little girls, to take care of. This is not a safe place for them.
And
So luckily, an apartment came open. We jumped on it and we got out of there as fast as we could. So yeah, I guess I have no doubt, but not in the sense of investigating.
right. In 2012, my sister, my youngest sister, one of these spirits in her body, she's not possessed, but that's just the way her energy comes off. And
Mm-hmm.
she makes spirits angry.
Oh, okay.
She's one of them people. She's not a bad person. Don't get me wrong. I love my sister. She's not a bad person. But they do things to her. Like, she grew up in one house and got married and all this. It was an old boarding house.
Mm-hmm.
And one night, she woke up because her covers moved. And somebody or something, I'll say somebody, spilled water on her bed to where it rolled underneath her. And then the cover swooshed back. And when she woke up, there was an electric cord that it wasn't attached to nothing on one
Uh-huh.
end. And it had been plugged into the wall. So it was 2 live wires. And they were
Wow.
snaking to her bed.
Oh, wow.
Where that
So she
water
saw like
was.
the wires, like,
Yeah, like they were coming to bed. She freaked out.
oh yeah, I would have too, because electricity and water don't mix, and then you add linens on top of it.
She had just been married about 6 months, so her and her husband was in that metal bed frame by them, and
Oh
then
my
it was wet.
goodness.
Yeah, it tried to kill her. And then in 2013, she was staying with mom for some reason. I don't know the reason, but Mom's house was haunted, and there was this kid spirit that pushed her out of bed several times. Literally got on the other side of the bed and used his feet and pushed her out.
Oh, wow.
We're not talking about a thin person. We're talking about a 400-pound woman.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She wasn't 95 pounds soaking wet,
So it took
It,
some force to roll her out
it
of
took
bed
a
like that.
lot of force. It broke her hip. Falling out of bed broke her
Mm.
hip. And just recently, and they went for months. They told her that no, her hip wasn't broken. They couldn't find the break. Eventually, they did. It got wider,
It
and they
opened.
could find it. And they put titanium screws in a hip replacement and everything. We're not talking about an old woman that's 80 years old.
Mm-mm.
We're talking about a woman she's 7 years younger than me, so she was in her late 20s.
Oh, wow.
And it just shoved her out of bed and broke her hip. And just, I don't know, last month or the month before, she had to go get all that titanium replaced.
Oh,
It
wow.
broke
Yeah,
on
because you
her,
got
and
to
she had to
do
get
it
it
like,
replaced.
yeah, you have to replace that stuff like every 5 years. You have to go in for a fuel up and a checkup
Yeah,
and
but yeah.
reservice.
You guys do that to her. I don't know. She just seems to make them angry.
Hmm.
And me, I walk into a house and first words out of my mouth, especially my mom's house, because she's one of these people that rents haunted houses by habit.
Mhm. It's just she has that gift.
Well, we're hereditary.
Mhm.
She passed it. She got it passed down to her. She passed it down to us. And so she has that talent to hereditarily rent haunted houses. Don't know why. And I walk through her door and I'll say, "Hi, Mom." And she'll go, "Hi." And we'll talk for a few minutes. I said, "Just a minute. This is a new house. They don't know me." So I'll go stand in the middle of the house and I'll say, "You're not allowed to touch me or mine.
Mhm.
Do not touch us. Do not make contact.
You
Do
can't go
not,
with
do not, do
us.
not."
Yep. You have to
You are
stake your, you
right.
know.
I have to lay my ground rules because otherwise they're going to do whatever they do.
Yep. And I hate to cut you off, Renee, but I'm looking at our time clock. We kind of ran over 10 minutes. It's hard to believe an hour goes by that fast, but it
Well,
does.
we was 10 minutes late.
Well, that's true too. That's what I said. We were a little late. We had some logging on issues, but we got through there. We got it done. I just wanted to give a shout out, thanks Howie for letting us, you know, be your
Destroy
guest
his
host
show.
for tonight. Letting us take over your show for the night. I know that we aren't. And Z Sun said that they love that story, Renee, and they were happy that you shared it. I just wanted to thank all the viewers out there for hanging with us this hour. I know it wasn't the typical program, the surfing that you're used to on the network, but I am just happy and overjoyed that you spent the time. Night alls, Z says. So I just want to take a minute, say thank you for your time and your energy. And I
Howie.
know I'm not Howie, but virtue be yours.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Let me play the outro video if I can find it. There we go.